You're tuned in to Repco Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Proudly brought to you by Repco, in association with Mount Shop, Meguiar's and Rizlone. And later on this week's show, we swing by Mount Smart Stadium to admire the incredible array of amazing rides assembling every month for Meguiar's Coffee and Cars. But first, thanks to Rizlone, we're heading down to the Hutt Valley to meet a bit of a drag racing dynasty, the Crooks. Over the past few years, the drag racing scene has been riding a wave of nostalgia. Gases, Wild Bunch and FEDs, they've all well and truly roared back into the mix. And a great example of this is the Siren, driven by Lower Hutt driver Dion Crook, who we met recently at Meremere's Gas Awards event. Dion's recently completed FED Dream Machine definitely looks the part and is starting to put down some searing times too. This labour of love's been painstakingly put together to exacting specifications over years by an experienced driver who knows exactly what he wants. And its retro aesthetic feels completely appropriate too, when you consider that his history in drag racing already goes back years. In fact, drag racing is in Dion's blood, because his brother Aidan and his dad Gary are accomplished drivers too. So it's well and truly a family affair, with the Crooks' drag racing legacy extending back over 3 decades.
Our family's always done drag racing. Well, my parents got into it probably in the late 80s for an uncle of mine. They just raced a hot rod, you know. My brother and I have been brought up around it our whole lives, you know, from babies pretty much.
From 6 months old, I was at Thunder Park, you know, in a pram, earmuffs on, not knowing what's going on in life, and yeah, just got put through the ranks of junior dragsters from a young age, and then put into the comp car Commodore that Mum and Dad owned, and yeah, thought it was just about time I bought my own car, and yeah, like I said, doomed from the start. Had no chance of not being a drag racer.
My obsession started with the longest running street drags in the Southern Hemisphere, Port Road Drags, local track for me, and at the age of 12 or 13 going down there and watching cars do burnouts and the sound of V8s, and I was hooked.
Yeah, we were always in the back seats, you know, travelling through the night to Meremer every second weekend through the race season, and up all night with Dad in the garage helping him turn spinners. Watching him build our junior drags is always a good part as well.
Dion got into junior dragsters at the impressionable age of 6 years old, riding a rig put together by his dad and well-known local drag racer Vince Borovich. And his brother Aidan wasn't too far behind him. Notably, Dion made a name for himself by becoming the first junior dragster into the 7-second bracket, holding the ET and MPH records for the class multiple times with a PB of 7.7 seconds. He also held records in the senior junior dragster class. And eventually, Aidan took up the mantle and set a few records of his own in the intermediate junior dragster classes. So they're 2 seriously talented chips off the old block then, who've understandably made Dad Gary very proud.
They didn't have a chance really, you know. Both my boys were at the racetrack from when they were 6 months old, so there was no show of anything else. But yeah, the fact that they love it enough to have built and bought their own cars, I couldn't be happier. It's a legacy they're going to just continue with.
Now with their junior dragster days well and truly in the rear view, firstly Dion and now Aidan have gotten grown-up drag cars to call their own. And happily, they're not the only ones. Because after many years away from the sport, Gary's got another door car up and running too. So for the first time ever, all 3 Crooks are all set to lay down some scorching times. Obviously, after almost 10 years in development, Dion's taken the lead with the still fresh but now well-christened Siren, which, beyond expectations, has already run sub 7 seconds.
This is my 2021 DB Race Cars built front-engine dragster. It's a 175-inch chrome molly wheelbase car. It's got a power glide gearbox, 9-inch rear end, Romac full floating hubs. The engine's a 509 cubic inch big block Chevrolet. Runs a 1471 Cavalco Superman up top, Enderley mechanical fuel injection, runs on methanol, and yeah, it's a fun ride. So it took us 8 years to build it. We got it out at the end of 2021 season and just done a couple of shakedown meetings, you know. It's a whole new learning curve for me, you know, to learn to drive it, for us to run a blown alcohol car.
But by the looks of things, Aidan isn't too far behind.
This is my 1969 HT Holden U. It's a full chromoly chassis car. It runs a 540 big box Chevy with a 1471 supercharger backed by a 2-speed power glide, 40 spine rear end, 9-inch diff and some weld wheels. Yeah, so I was in the market for a roller, for a door car roller, and we're going to use Dion's motor to do transfers. When this came up as an option for sale, or for me to buy from Mark, it was too good to stand up, you know, so yeah, I love Holdens, always have, always will.
And now, after years on the sidelines, Gary's also back in the fold.
What we have here is a 1963 split window C2 Corvette drag car. So it's a chromoly twin frame rail chassis. It runs a very odd Sainty 3-valve engine, which is an Australian built engine, backed up with a converter drive and then a 3-speed Lenco behind it, tailed off to a 9-inch. It's got a Whipple screw blower on the top and a carbon hat.
So while Aidan and Gary are still getting round to the paintwork, Dion's continuing to hit the strip with the siren. And in the last wee while, he's started to clock up some seriously quick times. Although, in this sport, it's never all plain sailing.
We've done 5 meetings at Masterton, and man, every run we've been learning something new, you know. I've been learning to drive it. We struggled a lot at the start of the season with what we call tyre shake. We managed to get our sort of heads around that, so that was quite cool because it started getting quite frustrating for a while there, but hey, that's racing. Finally got our head around and we dropped into the 7-second zone over the quarter mile, which is really what I built the car to do. The ETs just kept dropping, man, you know. We went to one meeting and we were sort of running around the mid 7-second range. We didn't really touch anything in terms of tune-up wise. I just got more confident in the car. A few people made the comments about, oh, you know, bring on the 6 seconds, 200 mile an hour zone. I just sort of laughed it off, like, nah, man, it's not gonna happen, you know. Went out on the Sunday morning of the same meeting and boom, off the trailer went 6.97 seconds at 201 mile an hour.
Well done, brother. Way to go.
Man, we were pretty blown away, you know. Those are 2 milestones that every drag racer sort of goes for, you know. How the 200 mile an hour club in New Zealand, a lot of people go for that, not just drag racers. So it's quite an elite club. And so for the fact that we joined that in probably our 4th or 5th meeting out with a brand new car virtually, it's a true credit to everyone that was involved in the build and our team that kept this car running all season. So nah, it's been a pretty good season, you know.
Yes. 697.
Unbelievable. It was, you know, totally unexpected that Dion was ever going to run a 6 in that car. We didn't build it to go 6s. And then when he just popped it out of the bag and it just ticked off both boxes, 6 seconds and 200, I was absolutely lost for words, shall we say.
With the introduction of the Masterton Motorplex strip, the Hutt Valley locals are now more active than ever, and they're stoked to see the growing numbers turning up at the track in the region. A testament to how healthy the sport clearly is around the country.
Drag racing in New Zealand is going really well at the moment, especially in the lower North Island. We've got a new home-built track over in Marston that's, I think, 9, possibly 10 years old now, and the sport has been growing ever since. Just across the whole nation, you know, people don't really travel as much as they used to, but we still have, on the odd man, 200 plus entries in our sport, and it's just good to see. You know, I reckon it's one of the biggest motorsports in New Zealand at the moment.
Each class, every season, there's at least a couple of new cars in it, you know. Whether that's from junior dragsters right up to what we run in Supercharged Outlaw, you know. Makes for some good racing. Everyone's a good bunch of people. The sport's definitely growing and I'm loving watching it grow.
Drag racing in America is their biggest motorsport. I was watching some Santa Pod racing the other day and I was looking at the crowds there and going, even in the UK, where drag racing is huge, and New Zealand's the same. It's just taking off.
So it's the perfect time for Gary, who took a break from the drag strip to raise a family, to rediscover his love of the sport behind the wheel of his newly built Corvette. And that's something the Crook boys are loving. It's almost as if things have come full circle, as the two boys, now veterans in their own rights, welcome Gary back into the fold. Obviously having a few bants with the old man along the way.
Hey, worst case, if he can't do it, well, Aiden or myself, we just might have to kick him out the seat, you know, and give it a go ourselves or something, but definitely looking forward to seeing him back behind the wheel of the Corvette, you know. Thing's a whole nother animal.
Oh, it's great. I cannot wait to see him out there doing it again. He loves it. He's, you know, gave up his sort of racing career from the Wild Bunch days to put us through junior drags, you know, sold his old race car to buy parts to build our juniors for us. So it's well deserved for him, you know. Him and Mum worked their asses off, and it's cool to see him have his own car again and be able to be out there racing.
Now it's his opportunity to get out there and have some fun with his own car, and I can't wait to see it, you know. Can't wait to see him skid those tyres.
It's been at least 12 years since I'd raced, and you never get out. When I jumped back in our Commodore to redo my licence last year, it was like putting an old pair of shoes back on. It was fantastic, you know, and that car only did mid 135 mile an hour. So it's not like it was excessively fast. It was still a 9-second car, so it was a great car, but just the buzz. As soon as I jumped back in, it's like, yeah. Even watching old videos of when I used to run the Caprice and that, and then it starts the heart pumping and you go, yeah, I remember that. I remember that. That's what I need to feel again. Yeah, it's just keeps you young.
Protection of hybrid ceramic.
Whoa.
Now in 3 easy-to-use products. In original spray wax, now as a liquid wax, and a spray detailer. Meguiar's hybrid ceramic family with advanced SiO2 technology. Meguiar's, ceramic made easy.
Rizlone has been in engines almost as long as engines have been in cars. Why? Because from then until now, there's never been a perfectly clean fuel. This means every time you fill up, you're adding pollutants and contaminants to your fuel system. Rizlone Fuel Injector Cleaner can cure those woes and help save your engine. Rizlone Fuel Injector Cleaner adds an upper cylinder lubricant, providing double the cleaning power out of the same bottle. We know something about aging well, so when we say it's your engine's fountain of youth under a screw top, you can count on it. Rizlone is the original engine tune-up. Available at participating stores near you.
Our next stop, courtesy of Meguiar's, we're Mount Smart bound. It's the former home of the Big Day Out and the Commonwealth Games, the current home of the Warriors, and going forward has also become the home for a hugely popular Auckland event, Meguiar's Coffee and Cars. The monthly meet picks up where the popular North Shore set Caffeine and Classics left off, after becoming a casualty of constant COVID interruptions. So now cars of all sorts of shapes, sizes, ages and stages are pouring into the South Auckland venue on the first Sunday of every month. Impressively, the event's eager participants managed to pack out the car park on the day we showed up. In fact, the numbers amazed even the organisers.
This is a Meguiar's Coffee and Cars, and along with a group of friends out of other car clubs, we put this together. How it came about was the Smales Farm event that used to happen out on the North Shore. That came to an end about August, September last year, mainly due to COVID, and everybody moaned and said, oh, I so missed that event. So I approached the stadium. They were looking for events to bring to the stadium, and here I was with a couple of hundred cars, almost 1,000 this month, and a couple of thousand people, and it was like a hand and glove situation. And I put Meguiar's and Auckland stadiums in connection with each other, and here we are.
A lot of events are about the organisers, it's about profiting. This is about bringing the cars out and getting people to, in a casual way, enjoy the cars, and getting people who may not have a car right now, speak to those who actually enjoy the hobby and learn from them.
Unquestionably, this has become the biggest monthly meet held in the country. And seeing the stadium filled to overflowing is an epic sight. And whatever your motoring passion, you'll find something to catch your eye amongst the rows and rows of stunning vehicles. Alongside plenty of performance Euros and imports, there's a ton of grunty V8s, tough trucks, hot rods, immaculate muscle cars of varying vintages, and much, much more. And the drivers have turned up are only too happy to talk shop.
It's my 1968 Chev Camaro. It's a Scott Shafroth motor originally from New York. I bought it in about 10 years ago when I blew the other engine up. So yeah, it's a 582 cubic inch pump gas motor. So it pumps out just shy of 800 horsepower. So yeah, I wanted a pump gas engine for sort of reliability and stuff like that. So, and yeah, fill it up down the road, you know, cheap gas. It goes pretty hard. Yeah, obviously we missed out on Father's Day last year due to COVID, but yeah, year before I run a personal best, 9.9. So yeah, just sort of keep going back to Father's Day every year, run some 10s consistently, yeah. Hopefully no breakages. Sort of throws you back in the seat. It's a yeah, bit of an old dinosaur, but yeah, no, she pulls up all right.
You're looking at a 1955 Crown Victoria. The car was first imported into New Zealand in '83 by Lenny Jones, and in '93 I think he restored it, and I was lucky enough to get it about 3 years ago, done a bit of work on it. Yeah, thoroughly enjoy it. It's pretty original. When I got it, it was covered in crazy crack, so I stripped it back to bare metal and painted it in my garage. It's not the best paint job, but it was all right for me. In my younger days, I used to hoon up and down Queen Street. 55 was my favourite car. So yeah, I've always loved them.
69 Plymouth Roadrunner. I've had it for about 5 years, and I bought it off a guy who brought it into the country. And I've just put a Hotchkiss suspension on it, TVS suspension. Apart from that, it's pretty much the way I bought it. Under the hood is a 383 big block, and it's a 4-speed manual. Oh yeah, definitely a Mopar man, because their cars are quite sort of unique, some funky colours, you know. It's just always been drawn to the look of the Mopar. So prior to this I had a 67 Plymouth Fury, yeah, so, and they got written off at Beach Hop, so I took the money and bought this. You know, I'd already seen the Roadrunner, so I got the payout and bought the Roadrunner.
The Impala is a 59 sports coupe, and it's a car that I first bought in 2006 and then did a full restoration on it through 2007 and 8. She had her first beach shop 2009, where she won, which was really quite fantastic for me and a wonderful end to that whole restoration period. Since then, there've been a few little upgrades, like we chucked out the 283 and we put a little small block 400 in it, and now she got lots of giddy up. When we were choosing the colour doing the restoration, I went back to the original colour charts that they had for the 59 Impala, and I wanted a two-tone colour. We played and massaged the tones of the colours, and we've ended up with what we call celery stalk on the bottom and lichen green on the roof and the trunk.
The Coffee and Cars event takes its inspiration from an American concept, but clearly it resonates incredibly strongly with Kiwis. A real testament to this country's love of all things automotive. And it's not just aficionados like the American Muscle Car Club and train spotters that are turning up either. This is a fun, family excursion for Aucklanders, as much as it is a draw card for enthusiasts. And based on what we've seen, it's not going anywhere, but up.
Our first month we got 818, and we thought that was pretty good for a long weekend and a wet, cold day. This month we got 937. What is it going to do in summer? We're going to get over 1,000 cars. Yeah, I mean, it's just fantastic.
It never ceases to amaze me how enthusiastic this hobby is. And it's just, this is just going to get bigger and bigger, and that's fantastic.
Let's keep it growing. I think we will at some stage get to a stage where we're going to have to say sorry no more, because we only have so much space where we can put cars. But yep, Get here early on in the morning and you're bound to find a spot.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week on Repco Muscle Garage. Feel like your car could do with some TLC? No worries, we've got every base covered because we could be hooking you up with an incredible prize pack thanks to our sponsors. For a start, there's this massive Meguiar's and Rizlone complete car care pack valued at over $760. We've also thrown in this handy 85-piece Repco toolkit valued at $672. To stay on top of everything underneath, there's a $500 mount shop voucher. And last but not least, you'll also score a year's subscription to NZ V8 magazine. That's a total prize pool of nearly $2,000. To enter, just head over to themotorhood.com and hit the Repco Muscle Garage link on the homepage. The winner will be drawn at the end of the series, so make sure you get amongst because this prize pack is one major haul. Good luck. Repco Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Repco. It starts with the parts. Mount Shop Undercar Specialists. Meguiar's, people who love cars love Meguiar's. And Rizlone, high performance additives for high performance vehicles.